Straight ahead on 12 News, an innovative attempt to give a Golden Valley lake a clean bill of health.
It's a little bit of an experiment.
Plus, a local lawmaker shifts her eyes to the sky to focus on drones. But first, how many rental homes is too many? In Brooklyn Center, they're saying enough is enough. 12 News starts right now. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Brooklyn Center city officials say they have been bombarded with a high number of single-family rental homes.
That number has more than doubled since 2008, creating neighborhoods with high concentrations of single-family rental properties. But as Delane Cleveland reports, the city council took the first step this week to reverse that trend.
The goal of any city is to have thriving neighborhoods where the homes are in good condition and where residents feel safe.
We'd like to build our community and have good community involvement across all of our neighborhoods.
But according to city officials from Brooklyn Center, those goals aren't always achieved when single-family homes are converted to rental properties.
People who are renting out those houses, the owners, who may or may not have good skills in running a rental site. We've also seen where some houses are just totally trashed and have to be gutted and redone.
Making matters worse, according to Mayor Tim Wilson, is that the concentration of these homes in residential neighborhoods has increased.
The concern for us is that if we see some sort of downturn, some sort of future event, and it's all rental properties in a block, well, what happens to those rental properties?
To address those issues,
the blight brings blight.
This week, the council unanimously approved the first reading of a plan that would limit the concentration of single-family rental properties on a block to 30%.
In a city as diverse as Brooklyn Center, we do want to have lots of options for all the people that live here, but we also need to keep it balanced. And I think that the way that we've approached it has been really balanced.
Home ownership of single-family homes in our neighborhoods in this city that I've lived in for more than 40 years is really the bedrock of the real foundation of our community.
In the meantime, Mayor Wilson says he expects challenges from rental housing advocates who say that the ordinance change would step on the rights of people who want to rent out their homes. But the city is prepared for any litigation that might come its way.
If we go to court, we go to court. We've made an attempt to honor what our community wants to see happen.
The ordinance change still isn't a done deal. The city will hold a public hearing on the issue on April 25th. If approved, the ordinance change would go into effect on June 4th. Mike?
All right, Delane, thanks. So how does Brooklyn Center compare to other cities when it comes to the concentration of rental properties? According to census data, outer ring suburbs have fewer rental units. In Maple Grove, just 12% of the housing is rentals. In Plymouth and Brooklyn Park, it's 26%. In Brooklyn Center, that number increases to 32%. The only city in the Northwest Metro with a higher density of rental housing is New Hope. New Hope has a population of about 20,000 people, which is smaller than Brooklyn Center.
A local lawmaker is proposing legislation that could result in stricter regulations for drone operators. Drones are used for surveying land, photography, or just for fun, but safety concerns have grown too. Senator Ann Rest of New Hope is authoring a bill that would make it a misdemeanor to launch or recover a drone from private property without consent. It would also be illegal to use a drone to interfere with an aircraft in motion or to operate it within 1 mile of a public safety helicopter. In addition, there would be an annual $25 fee for commercial operators who would need a permit. A similar proposal is making its way through the Minnesota House. Golden Valley's Sweeney Lake is on Minnesota's impaired water list because of phosphorus that flows into the lake.
But that could change soon thanks to a new way to improve water quality. Eric Nelson has that story.
Clean water is a hot-button topic these days.
It is, yep, and thankfully so.
Oh yeah, we water ski. Jet ski, yeah.
And that is certainly the case at Sweeney Lake, where Jeff Haynes and his wife Heidi have had their lakefront house for 4 years.
We've seen it decline, and there's been some incidents of blue-green algae.
Because of phosphorus buildup, Sweeney's once pristine waters are now cloudy and polluted.
Old-timers talk about how crystal clear it used to be before, and so it'd be great to get back to that.
Sweeney Lake has too many nutrients. So too high of phosphorus, and that creates algae blooms.
To combat this algae attack, the city of Golden Valley installed a floating baffle in Shopper Pond this winter.
It's a little bit of an experiment.
The baffle is like a giant curtain that traps phosphorus and keeps it out of the lake.
We're estimating that about 81 to 150 pounds of phosphorus every year will be taken out of the water, and that should really improve the water quality in Sweeney Lake.
That is good news for the animals, birds, and residents of Sweeney Lake, which has an up-north look despite being smack dab in the Northwest Metro. The floating baffle is a unique way to treat area lakes and streams, and the city of Golden Valley is confident it can help clean up Sweeney Lake and Bassett Creek.
It's been proven to work in wastewater treatment plants. The only difference here is that it's going to be out for an extended period of time, and there's a little bit of current moving through here.
It's a great spot.
Jeff Haynes is glad to know that cleaner water could soon be in Sweeney's future.
I think it's a great idea. It's just gone in, so we haven't really seen any results yet, but it's great to be proactive and trying to keep the lake water quality up.
In Golden Valley, I'm Eric Nelson, Channel 12 News.
Water samples will be taken from Sweeney Lake over the next 2 years to see how the floating baffle is working. The total project cost is approximately $600,000.
A Hy-Vee grocery store is approved in southwest Maple Grove near the Corcoran border. Plans also emerged for a second Hy-Vee in the northern part of the city, but now those plans are on hold. Hy-Vee had been considering a site south of the future Highway 610 near Target and the Maple Grove Hospital, but this week the Planning Commission learned plans for a grocery store at that site were postponed. This comes after the Maple Grove City Council gave the go-ahead to construction of a Hy-Vee store near Brockton Lane and Bass Lake Road. The Iowa-based grocer also recently opened a store in New Hope, of course, and construction is taking place on a Hy-Vee store just south of Highway 610 in Brooklyn Park.
What are the best places to work in the United States? Well, according to Forbes magazine, 2 are in Golden Valley. General Mills was number 134 on America's Best Employers list. Pentair was 291. The highest rated company in Minnesota was Rochester-based Mayo Clinic at number 9. The Forbes list is based on anonymous employee surveys of companies that employ more than 5,000 people. So what was America's best employer? According to Forbes, it was Ohio-based Marathon Petroleum, followed by Google. Coming up, teen drivers and insurance. Yes, it can get very expensive.
What parents and teens need to know to help save money. And then a little bit later in sports, a mix of young and old on the Wayzata softball team this spring. We'll preview the Trojans.
But first, getting colder, temperatures only reaching into the 40s on Thursday. Some big changes are on the way for a Golden Valley social service organization. PRISM is teaming up with Jewish Family and Children's Services of Minneapolis. JFCS was recently gifted this building off the 5900 block of Golden Valley Road. Once the building is redesigned, PRISM will move in as a tenant. PRISM officials say the move will give them more space and allow them to serve more people.
We're thrilled. It's been a wonderful collaboration. Partnerships are really a key to doing fantastic work in the nonprofit sector. And what we found is our values are very much aligned. Our programs and services complement each other. They don't duplicate each other. So we really believe this is best practice, and it's going to serve the community well.
The Golden Valley City Council will have to approve the plan. They will talk about the issue on April 5th. If all goes well, PRISM hopes to be in their new building by 2018. In Minnesota, drivers are required to have auto insurance.
The cost of that insurance can vary greatly depending on type of coverage, driving record, and even which insurance carrier you choose to use. But one thing is universal: rates for teen drivers are higher. In this week's Money Savers Report, a look at what parents and teens should consider when it comes to buying auto insurance. When it comes to driving, experience matters. Insurance companies know this, and it's why auto insurance rates spike when they're insuring a younger driver with less experience behind the wheel.
From 16 to 18 years old, that's the number one time they're going to get it. They're pretty much insurance companies are looking at that's going to be when the accident happens. So you do see a higher tick-in rate.
On a recent early morning at Osseo High School,
When you get added on to your parents' policy, It's not cheap.
Phil Dirksen, a licensed independent insurance agent, gives a small group of students auto insurance basics in an 8-week series sponsored by Topline Federal Credit Union. This week, the focus is on cost of auto insurance. For example, carrying their own insurance versus being on their parents' policy.
Completely different ballgame. You're looking at on your parents, 40 to 50% increase. On your own, 300 to 400% increase. I mean, a massive, massive difference on that level.
There are ways students can save on auto insurance, starting with good grades. A 3.0 or B average will earn a 10 to 15% discount on insurance, or more, depending on the carrier, for each year up to age 23. Successfully completing a driver's education course can also earn an additional 5% discount. Out on the road, the best way to ensure good rates is to be a good driver, taking caution behind the wheel, putting the cell phone away, and watching speed. Paying attention in parking lots can also help avoid fender benders and other accidents that hike up rates.
You have 2, 3, 4 claims, you're going to see that rate just go skyrocket. Every at-fault accident's a 30 to 40% increase on the rate.
Assuming a clean driving record, the good news is rates will come down for younger drivers with a few passing birthdays. Age 25 is when insurance companies typically consider the driver an adult. So hang in there and drive safely, right?
I've had a few teenage drivers, and yeah, it's hard to get the family through sometimes.
Exactly.
That can be
It's a few
pricey.
years.
Yep.
Still ahead, Golden Valley Pride, vintage style.
But first in sports, why you should expect a strong season from the Champlin Park baseball team this spring. John Jacobson has a team preview when we come back. Something about a new baseball season that gives everybody, hope, right? This could be our year.
This could be our year, right. You're always optimistic going into the season, but a lot of veterans back for this team, so this should be a pretty good year. High school baseball season gets underway late next week for some teams, including Champlin Park. It's a veteran Rebels team that will take the field this spring.
Wednesday's rain notwithstanding, it's been a good month for spring sports athletes, including those in baseball.
I've been used to being inside for the first part of the practices of the season, and this year, since we finished tryouts and got outside the next day, it's been great. I mean, the outfielders have been seeing the ball and just actually outside. They've been feeling the wind and everything.
Champlin Park brings back a solid core of players this spring. Riley Johnson is returning all-conference center fielder. Derek Smith has caught every inning behind the plate for 2 seasons. First baseman Eric Pearson is a 3-year starter. Cole Albers is back at shortstop, and Aaron Klepner can pitch or play in the infield and outfield. Other players return with varsity experience too, giving this team optimism for a good season.
We have a lot of guys returning. We're a senior-heavy roster. We have 1, maybe 2 juniors that'll start for us, but we have a lot of experience coming back.
It always boils down to pitching, and we felt like we got a lot out of the guys that we had last year pitching. We were pleasantly surprised at how well those guys handled things throughout the season. We have the potential to be a little bit improved in that category this year, but defensively we feel very good about the guys we have coming back, and we feel like we should be able to get some guys on base.
Champlin Park finished 13-11 in 2015 and in the middle of the pack in the Northwest Suburban Conference. The Rebels should be able to compete with the best teams in the league this spring.
We've always had the chance to be up there with them, and I think if we put ourselves to it and work hard enough, we'll be right up there, and we're just as good as anybody else.
The Rebels have a tough opener. They play at Minnetonka on April 7th. Their first conference game is April 12th at Osseo. The Wayzata softball team is hoping to move up the ladder in the Lake Conference this spring. Here's Jay Wilcox with more on the Trojans.
It'll be an interesting mix for Wayzata this spring of young and old. The Trojans have a core group that has played together for a long time, and they'll be counted on to lead this spring.
We're really good at working together as a team. Like me and the other seniors, we've been playing together since like 10U travel. That helped a lot.
We have a young group of girls this year, and I think it'll be great because they've all played together for a really long time, and we have a group of seniors that have had a lot of experience playing together and some strong returners. So I think as we come together throughout the season, like the young girls will have to step up, but in the end, it'll set our season and our program up for a good future.
Catcher Katie Blanchard is back to steady a young group of pitchers. Infielders Brianna Westerberg and Julia Hoffner. First baseman Taylor Arneson. And outfielders Ellie Rod and Katie Walk are other key returners. It's a team with some definite strengths.
So we're going to definitely focus being on the defensive team. We got some really strong gloves out there, and then use this time that we have inside before we can hit the fields outside for some really like batting techniques. Amber is really educated on breaking down a swing.
The girls understand softball at a high level and are able to make plays and are hitting the ball around, so it's a lot of fun.
Though they lost a few players who decided not to come out for softball this spring, the Trojans hope this team can be better than the 2015 squad that won 9 games overall, but placed 5th in the 5-team Lake Conference.
Well, since the Lake Conference is really even this year, we want to try to win against all the Lake teams, and also just have fun, I guess, because, you know, like I said, everyone's even, and we just want to make it a really good last year. So
our Lake Conference is pretty average, you know. I think if we work together and bring everybody together and push ourselves, I think we'll do pretty well this year.
We'll see if Wayzata can put it all together this spring. Jay Wilcox, 12 Sports.
The Trojans open the season with back-to-back non-conference games at home. They host Providence Academy April 12th and Minneapolis Southwest April 13th. They start Lake Conference play Friday, April 15th at Hopkins. Man, that's a look at sports for today.
All right, thanks a lot, John. Still ahead, Golden Valley gone retro.
Yeah, how to get some of those vintage Golden Valley tees when we come back.
And finally, the Golden Valley Parks and Recreation Department is doing some spring cleaning.
As workers began cleaning out the Brookview Community Center in preparation for a new building, they found several dozen T-shirts that date back to old park and rec programs that are out of date or no longer offered. So they decided to sell them for cheap. You can pick one up for just $1.
There was a person that came in here the other day and she had, I think, 5 kids, and she just wanted a T-shirt grouping that would be all the same colors, so she'd be able to keep track of her kids a little bit better.
Or if you need a paint shirt for spring projects, this would be the perfect thing. They have children and adult sizes. Just drop by the Brookview Community Center during regular hours before noon on Saturday. One thing that I thought looked interesting, they had several 2014 Run the Valley T-shirts with long sleeves. So if you're doing some work in the thistles in the backyard, that'd be the perfect thing to wear.
That's exactly right. And don't have to explain the reason you need the shirt, right?
No, you could say, I ran the valley. No,
exactly. Go with it, right?
Yeah, right. That's it for now. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
We'll see you back here tomorrow at 4.